Aloha and welcome to Java. This is for Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. We've got a lot of stuff to go over, mostly market related. So let's dive right into it. We've got the MMRIs, our favorite indicator. It's staying relatively stable. However, we're watching a bit of divergence between the relative dollar strength and the 10-year yield. So this is all on policy decisions that are being made and kind of what the markets are seeing. So the dollar is gaining in relative strength, which is putting pressure on stocks as well as futures. But the 10-year yield is dropping a bit. So that is a little bit of an interesting movement. So we'll go through the volatility VIX fear index is rising slightly, and we've also got a pullback in gold and oil. So those are due to the strength, relative strength in the dollar. So the sentiment right now is that for the trades in the market, it is balanced between fear and greed. So they came up with the term hovering because it doesn't have a lot of support. There's not a lot of volume at the moment, and we're waiting to see some numbers come out. I did want to go over a couple of trades. So this is not financial advice, and you do need to DYOR, do your own research. However, I have brought a couple of these up prior, and I'm not a day trader. I am an options trader. So these are a little longer term, but I had spoken about these before. So I just wanted to bring them up again. The first is Palantir. So Palantir is a software company, if you're not familiar, and they're getting government contracts. So they do have defense contracts, and basically they are collecting information. So while the company itself is a bit scary, I did kind of say that because of what was I could see was coming between the defense contracts and the war they were looking for, that it was positive for that stock. The second one I would like to talk about is Coinbase. So Coinbase, with the rise of Bitcoin again, has had a boom, but we knew the ETF was coming out. They were making their decision on that. So it has rallied this past week. So I do think it's got a little bit more room to run. However, coming up here soon, we're going to have some opportunities to switch because I think it's going to get some competition from Binance and then also a couple other exchanges, possibly Kraken. So with that, watch if you have positions in those, may want to take a look. And the last one I want to bring up is gold in general. So we're having a slight of a pullback at the moment, but I do expect continued strength into gold. It's got some really good fundamentals behind it, and the charts are also looking pretty strong. So GDX is kind of a main way that a lot of people go through it, but I'm a physical gold type of person. I like to buy when it pulls back, but GDX is something you can look at if you would like to trade this one. So moving on to kind of what is bringing this about, saying stocks slip as doubt swirls over soft landing bets. So as I said, this is the dollar fear trade going into the dollar. And then this is just kind of a convergent story that came along with this. The London Stock Exchange had another major outage that halted trading for a time. So that's driving a little bit of fear between, people get worried about whether their equities or their investments are safe. So I don't have a lot in the markets at the moment. I do have some long term, and I do also have some options, but I'm very well hedged. So with the calendar, as I said, and all of these are aftermarket open, but we are looking at manufacturing numbers, our JOLTS job reports, and then also crude stock. So that's another thing I would like to bring up. Crude oil, while it's got a little further to kind of correct and go down possibly, we are going to be hitting a support level. It's not really strong. There's a lot of things going on in the energy market as normal, but they came out kind of pushing nuclear. So uranium's getting a push, and liquid natural gas are getting pushes currently. So for Wednesday, we're going to get non-farm payrolls prior to market open, and then getting a couple of other items, crude oil inventories again. So our stories with the banks mostly. There was a ransomware attack causing outages. So this is a relatively small number, 60 credit unions. But my point for this is that a lot of people have been asking about credit unions. And while, in my opinion, they're much safer than the larger banks, they do pose a risk as well. So try not to keep too much money in the banks if you can. I'm bringing up Coinbase as a bank because this, again, they're bringing together presidential candidates. So this is just bringing to light the cryptocurrency is coming into view. Exchanges, these are the new banks. So you will see Coinbase, the other one is Binance. The infamous one, FTX, is still operating and it's more regulated. So I expect a comeback on that one because they've now come through basically the laundry machine. So they will be one of the exchanges now that will be accepted. And we're watching BlackRock funneling money into this huge amounts. So this is not about like how I feel about BlackRock or any of the other things, but just simply these companies and how they're moving. So with that, we've got a couple of things. Banks are also moving forward into the digital space. As SocGen is putting in 10 million euro digital green bond on public blockchain. So they're beginning to do their ESG moves and then also bonds selling these on kind of the blockchains, and everything will be moving in that direction. So we had another story. Barclays, I'd spoken about them last week getting weak, and now Qatar has decided to sell about 644 million shares. So on that news, their stock dropped. They're having a bit of business trouble. So the other one, Deutsche Bank. So they're talking about a tech migration that they're doing. And what it boils down to that they're doing is basically more layoffs, reviews for their IT department. They are doing a migration as well into probably more artificial intelligence and less banks. I expect them to be closing some of their branches and areas as well. So now onto the policy, which is really driving some of this in the back end. So we had Moody's cut China's credit outlook. So China has been easing because they've got a little bit of pressure going on with the EU on and with their economy because they've been facing some hits as well. This is a global issue and they're not able to cover theirs as well. So they're also looking into their real estate issues with Evergrande, even though they pushed that off until January. So now they're going to be facing a few more headwinds because their interest rates are going to be affected by this rating cut. So, got another about global banks talking about how they're facing a negative outlook. And this is from Moody's again. So, the United States is still facing another possible cut because we're facing another government shutdown. They can't rein in their debt spending that they're doing. They're just massively spending everywhere, as you know. And Moody's doesn't like the political instability in the United States. So they're looking to downgrade the United States soon if they don't start getting that together. And this is Scholz talking about Germany. So they've got German budget crisis. Germany is facing kind of a bankruptcy issue as well. They are probably one of the first major economies that are going to fall, in my opinion, when this all tumbles down. So with the back of that, we've got, and I don't know so much about BRICS, but definitely gold and Bitcoin are going to put the dollar in parity. So while the US dollar is still the reserve currency, I do think that we'll watch that strength and see the real value between the two of gold and Bitcoin. And why I say that is because both are suppressed, but they cannot, it seems they cannot keep both suppressed at the same time, or it's much more difficult. So we can see factors in those. So a couple last things I want to go to is quite clearly with all of these things going on, they're saying the US is out of money for Ukraine, and this has to do a lot with the bonds and what's going on with that. So this is their excuse, time to stop the funding for a war that was over quite some time ago. So North Korea is getting their feathers ruffled over a couple of things, satellite launches, namely one as well as basically becoming a weapons powerhouse. So Kim Jong Un is kind of making threats, and this will probably happen pretty soon. So my final lava updates wanted to go over. If it's not one thing, it's another, and I can't believe they're actually bringing this up, and they're bringing up two at the same time. They're talking about warning of a swine fever vaccine. This is also along with the white lung that is coming out of China, and talking about France also that they've got a bird flu. So one is not working anymore, so now they're using three. But, really, we've been dealing with flus for some time. So I don't know, but they're still trying this narrative if they need to keep it in the back end in case they need another shutdown. So with that, I wish you all a green trading day. Just a wonderful day in general. Thank you kindly for joining me. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.